Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Inflation is about to hit home with a 33% increase in fuel and energy prices this winter. Nearly half of Americans could see a spike of heating costs this very soon, like this month.
Well, in colder climates, energy bills are going to be even higher. Brody Carter breaks it all down for us and brings us some tips to cut costs.
It all comes down to how you heat your home this winter and where your home is.
Recent U.S. energy stats indicate you might want to add your heating bill to the long list of higher-priced items getting pushed by inflation and the war in Ukraine.
Our forecast for those expenditures includes the National Oceanic and Atmospherics forecast for what they expect to be a slightly colder winter than last year. Because of that, we expect households to consume a little bit more energy to keep their homes warm.
The largest increase is likely to be felt through the Midwest, where residents can expect a 33% cost increase to keep warm this winter. Nearly half of U.S. households could see an increase of 28%.
Close to 50% of households use natural gas, so that's the primary fuel. And that's going up from an average of about $700 to about $950. But again, it depends where you live. In the colder states, it'll be even higher.
The outlook is that natural gas users will see about a 28% increase, heating oil users 27%. If you have electric heating, that increase should be closer to 10%. And propane homes, 5%. Now remember, those numbers could change each month depending on the market and how cold it gets.
Very concerned about elderly families that are living on fixed income, maybe only Social Security. While we know Social Security is going up by, I think, close to 9% this year, that won't be enough for families living in colder climates.
Mark Wolf works with congressional leaders to help low-income families pay their bills. He says families making under $45,000 a year can tap into government supplemental assistance and that everyone can learn to cut costs.
So if you can turn down your thermostat by, say, 5 degrees at night, that can save you up to 10% on your bill. Get your furnace tuned up, get the furnace filters replaced, go around the house with a caulking gun, look where there are leaks and fill those leaks. And if you don't think you can afford the bill this year, and many people won't be able to, apply for help from a low-income home energy assistance program.
There is a silver lining for residents with gas-powered furnaces. Although costs will go up, your bill is still expected to be about 30% less than those with electric furnaces or heat pumps. That's because heating with electricity is more expensive than gas, and heat pumps are less efficient in colder climates. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Well, get ready for higher prices to hit you right at home. We have resources available online where you can sign up for help with your bill. You can also track energy prices by just going to cbnnews.com. In other news, Elon Musk has officially taken control of Twitter, and he quickly made his presence known. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That is right. Gordon Musk, who's now dubbed himself the new chief twit, fired 4 top executives, according to news reports, among them Twitter's CEO, chief financial officer, and top lawyer. The personnel moves were widely expected, along with likely more changes. Musk tweeted, "The bird is freed," referencing Twitter's Bluebird logo. Critics have long complained of a Twitter bias banning conservatives. With Musk in charge, they hope free speech can be restored to the platform. Musk also tweeted, "The reason I acquired Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence." He also said Twitter should be a, quote, warm and welcoming a place for all and the most respected advertising platform in the world. Well, new research shows a troubling trend concerning the church in America, revealing confidence in Christian leaders has been declining in recent years, sparked in part by reports of abuse, immorality, and other scandals. CBN Charlene Aaron shares how one pastor sees the need for a new generation of leaders that lives according to requirements laid out in Scripture.
It has words for us about leadership, as does Paul, as does Peter, as does the Epistle to Hebrews. So the New Testament, and going back to the Old Testament as well, God has not left us without a vision for what leadership should look like in the local church.
In his new book, Workers for Your Joy, The Call of Christ on Christian Leaders, pastor and seminary professor David Mathis emphasizes how that call must be viewed through the lens of Scripture, the embracing a priority of servitude.
It comes from the Apostle Paul at the end of his first chapter in his second letter to the Corinthians, where he says, "We don't lord it over your faith, but we work with you for your joy. And if Paul, who was an apostle and one of the official spokesman for the risen Christ, who wrote scripture, could say that he didn't lord over his leadership over the Corinthians, but he worked with them for their joy, how much more so pastors in the local church, that we would have a vision that why we are leading is for the sake of the joy of our people in Jesus Christ.
On CBN's Prayer Link, Mathis says his book specifically follows the recent rise and fall of various church leaders and points out what possibly led them astray.
You will find in one rise and fall story after another some clear broach of attribute and virtue that has been laid out by Christ and his apostles 2 millennia ago in the New Testament. So that list in 1 Timothy 3 and in Titus 1 is significant. Paul means it. The apostles mean it. And there is wisdom in that list for healthy, normal leaders in the church today.
The qualifications in the 1 Timothy list includes being blameless, sober, and of good behavior. Mathis adds the ability to teach is also key.
When we think of ability, we might think of, oh, does this mean world-class oratory or great gifting? You know, is he an entertainer? Is he a gifted communicator? I don't think that's what's meant. What's meant is ability in the context, and it's a man who wants to teach. The pastors and elders should be those who want to feed the flock, like Jesus said, to feed his sheep, and to do that through teaching the Bible. It can be very simple.
A simplicity, Mathis says, is needed now more than ever.
Christianity is a teaching movement. Jesus was the consummate teacher in a day, frankly, where people can bristle at teaching. Oh, they want pastors to do just about anything other than teach. Do this, do that, care for us, listen to us, counsel us, very important things. But sometimes there is a kind of pressure in the pastoral ministry to not teach. And that is the central qualification and calling of local church pastors in the New Testament.
While Mathis challenges aspiring and seasoned leaders to faithfully embrace the call of Christ, he also encourages those in their congregations to consistently pray for them. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Some good reminders. Thanks, Charlene. Well, earlier this month, Christian believers and Jews around the world came together to follow a biblical command. As CBN's Chris Mitchell reports, it centers around praying for Jerusalem.
Shalom and welcome everybody to Jerusalem, Israel. This celebration marks the latest International Day of Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem. Since 2004, this event has joined millions of Christians and Jews around the world to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
To fulfill the biblical mandate of Psalm 122:6, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, recognizing that peace in Jerusalem signifies peace for the world. And so the Day of Prayer gathers and empowers Christians around the world to stand in alliance with that promise of God in Psalm 122:6.
Bishop Robert Stearns helped start this effort and says Jerusalem is central to God's plan for the world.
Jerusalem is a plumb line. Jerusalem is a place of covenantal alignment. As goes Jerusalem, as goes Israel, so goes much of our world. And so when we focus in this moment that is both filled with difficulty and promise, let's look at this. We have increased negative attacking rhetoric from Iran, from Syria. We've got all kinds of problems there. But through the Abraham Accords, we have amazing new opportunities for peace. So we have to pray that humanity moves in the direction of peace that has been promised to this land and to this region.
The day brings Jews and Christians together.
The International Day for Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem is a very important day in the calendar. It codifies the blessing and command to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. What Eagles Wings has done by adding another holiday into the Christian calendar is really unbelievable. And here in Jerusalem, we celebrate it together with our Christian brothers.
Stearns says a younger generation is catching the vision of the importance to pray for Jerusalem.
Being a younger man myself, I'm just excited to help inspire others to come and see what is happening here in Israel, to not only come and view it, but take an active role in it. We're here to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We want to loudly and proudly tell the world that we want to stand with Israel. We want to stand with God in seeing the peace come about here in the land.
It's important that the church and the nations wake up to the fact that God called them in the scriptures to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. He didn't say that about any other city.
Prayer leader Rick Riding says, given these perilous times, it's important to stand with Israel.
It's always intense here, but right now with the threats, very existential threats coming from Iran, and the relationships that seem to be developing more strongly between Iran and Russia, there's a real serious need for prayer for the peace of Jerusalem and of Israel.
Riding says this also sends a strong message to the Jewish people that they are not alone.
I was just talking to a Jewish man here, and he said, I had no idea there were 150 million Christians in China and that many of them are praying for Israel. This is phenomenal. And so it also is helping the people of Israel to realize when they feel so rejected in the media that there are people who love them and stand with them. And it really gives a lot of courage to the people of Israel to hear about this prayer from all over the world for them.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the day of prayer for the peace of Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. Following the biblical admonition to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Gordon, that's a story I doubt you'll see anywhere else.
I doubt it, too. But part of the prayer for the peace of Jerusalem is also for the prayer for the return of the Messiah. Will there ever be peace there until the Prince of Peace comes? So I encourage everyone everywhere, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It is the capstone. This is the place where God has said, this is my city. This is where my presence will be.